ॐ ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Text chapter 6 text 1 Shri Bhagavanuvacha Anashita karma phalam karyam karma karoti ya sa sannyasi cha yogi cha na niragnir na chakriya.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty.
Text 2 Yam sannyasam iti prahu yogam tam vidhi pandava nahi asanyasata sankalpo yogi bhavati kaschana.
What is called renunciation, you should know to be the same as yoga, or linking oneself with the Supreme, O son of Pandu, for one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification.
Text 3 Arukshor mune yogam karma karanam uchyate yogarurasya taseva shama karanam uchyate.
For one who is a neophyte in the Eightfold Yoga system, work is said to be the means, and for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means.
Text 4 Yada hi nendratheshu na karma sanusajjate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yogarura taduchyate.
A person is said to be elevated in yoga when, having renounced all material desires, he neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities.
Text 5 Udared atmana atmanam natmanam avashedayat atmeva hi atmano bandhu atmeva ripu atmana.
One must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well.
Text 6 Bandhur atma atmanastasya yenatmeva atmana jita anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmeva shatruvat.
For him who has conquered the mind is the best friend, is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy.
Text 7 Jitatmana prashantasya paramatma samahita shitoshna sukh dukheshu tatha manapamanya.
For one who has conquered the mind, the supersoul is already reached, for he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same.
Text 8 Jnana Vijnana Tiptatma Kutastho Vichitendriya Yukta iti uchyate yogi Samloshvashma Kanchana.
A person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebbles, stones, or gold, as the same.
Text 9 Suhin Mitrari Udasina Madhyastha Dvesha Bandhushu Sadhus Api Chapapeshu Sambuddhir Vishishyate.
A person is considered still further advanced when he regards earnest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral, mediators, the envious, friends and enemies, the pious and the sinners, all with an equal mind.
Text 10. Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasi sthita ekaki yat chittatma nirashi aparigraha.
A transcendentalist should always engage his body, mind, and self in relationship with the Supreme. He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. He should be free from desires and feelings of possessiveness.
Text 11 and 12. Shoche deshe pratistapaya stiram asanam atmana nati uchitam nati nicham chalagdina kushotaram tatra ekagram mana kritva yat chittendriye kriya upavishyanshane yunjat yogam atma vishuddhaye.
To practice yoga, one should go to a secluded place and should lay kusha grass on the ground and then cover it with a deer skin and a soft cloth. To sit, the seat should be neither too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it very firmly and practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses, and activities and fixing the mind on one point.
Text 13 and 14. Samam kayo shiro grivam dharyan achalam sthira sampreksha nasikagram swam dishachana vilokayan.
One should hold one's body, neck, and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life.
Sorry, I didn't read the text 14. Prashantatma vigatabhi brahmachari vrate sthita mana samyama machito yukta asit matpara. Text 15. Yunjan evam sadatmanam yogi niyata manasa chantim nirvana paramam matstha sanstham adhigacchati.
Thus, practicing constant control of the body, mind, and activities, the mystic transcendentalist, his mind regulated, attains to the kingdom of God, or the abode of Krishna, by cessation of material existence.
Text 16. Nati ashnatastu yogi asti nacha kantam anashnata nachati swapnashilasya jagrato neva charjuna.
There is no possibility of once becoming a yogi, O Arjuna. If one cuts too much or eats too little, if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough.
Text 17. Yukta hara viharasya yukta chetasya karmashu yukta swapna bodhasya yogo bhavati dukhaha.
He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system.
Text 18. Yada viniyatam chittam atmani eva vishishtate nispraha sarva kamebhyo yukta iti uchyate tada.
When the yogi, by practice of yoga, disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence, devoid of all material desires, he is said to be well established in yoga.
Text 19. Yatha dipo nivatastho ningte sopama smrita yogino yachittasya yunjito yogam atmana.
As a lamp in a windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled, remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendent self.
Text 20 to 23. Yatro pramate chittam niruram yoga sevaya yatra chaiva atmana atmanam pashyan atmani tushyati sukham etyantikam yattad buddhigraham atindriyam veti yatra na chaivayam sitas chalati tatvata yam labdva chaparam labham मन्यते नाधिकं तथा यस्मिन् स्थितो न दुःखेन गुरुणापि विचाल्यते तं विद्या दुःख संयोगा योगं योगसंज्ञितम्.
In the stage of perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by the practice of yoga. This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact.
Text 24. Sanischena yoktavyo yoga nirvana chetasa sankalpa prabhavan kamam tyaktva sarvan asheshita मनसैवेन्द्रिया ग्रामं विनिम्य samantata.
One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith, and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon without exception all material desires born of mental speculation, and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind.
Hare Krishna, my humble obeisances to all the devotees.
Hare Krishna, my humble obeisances to all devotees as well.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Mataji, for that wonderful recitation. It was very beautifully recited. And now we are going to be discussing text 24. So welcome to those who have just joined us on this chat program. So we are taking up from where we left yesterday, which was text 23. So we'll be starting with text 24 today. So text 24, Sa nishchayena yuktavyo yoga nirvina chetasa sankalpa prabhavan kamam styaktava sarvan asheshata manasa vendriya gramam viniyama samantata. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon without exception all material desires born of mental speculation and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind. Purport. The yoga practitioner should be determined. Please try to pay utmost attention to this amazing purport of Srila Prabhupada. The yoga practitioner should be determined and should patiently prosecute the practice without deviation. One should be sure of success at the end and pursue this course with great perseverance, not becoming discouraged. If there is any delay in the attainment of success, success is sure for the rigid practitioner. Regarding Bhakti Yoga, Rupa Goswami says, Utsahan nishchayat dhairyat tattat karma pravartanat sanga tyagat satovrite satbir bhaktir prasidyati. That was a different verse, vinashati. That was by doing these 6 things we destroy our bhakti, but by doing these things, which is utsaha nishchadharya tat karma pravartanat, we and by sanga tyagat satovrite, we our bhakti gets consistent. So one can execute the process of bhakti yoga successfully with full-hearted enthusiasm, perseverance, and determination by following the prescribed duties in the association of the devotees and by engaging completely in the activities of goodness. This is the third verse of Nectar of Instruction, NOI. And you will hear another definition of NOI here from today. So please stay tuned. Really nice definition, actually. And that shows that that definition so much reminds, at least for me, how much need is there for me to read and understand Nectar of Instruction, such an important book. Now let's hear a beautiful story Prabhupada is narrating here. As for determination, one should follow the example of a sparrow who lost her eggs in the waves of the ocean. A sparrow laid her eggs on the shore of the ocean, but the big ocean carried away the eggs on its waves. The sparrow became very upset and asked the ocean to return her eggs. The ocean did not even consider her appeal, so the sparrow decided to dry up the ocean. She began to pick out the water in her small beak, and everyone laughed at her for her impossible determination. The news of her activity spread at last. Garuda spread, and at last Garuda, the gigantic bird carrier of Lord Vishnu, heard it. He became compassionate toward his small sister bird, and so he came to see the sparrow. Garuda was very pleased by the determination of the small sparrow, and he promised to help. Thus Garuda at once asked the ocean to return her lest lest he himself take up the work of sparrow. The ocean was frightened at this and returned the eggs. Thus the sparrow became happy by the grace of Garuda. Similarly, the practice of yoga, especially bhakti yoga in Krishna consciousness, may appear to be a very difficult job, but if anyone follows the principles with great determination, the Lord will surely help, for the God helps those who help themselves. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyat Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation once again. One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon without exception all material desires born of mental speculation and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind. Jyoti Mataji, Hare Krishna, can you hear me? Jyoti Mataji, can you hear me?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry, I missed out a lot. We actually have something going on. There's a death in the family and like.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji, what were you saying? Sorry, I
No,
missed.
I would know it's okay if you're busy. I just wanted you to Google the definition of the word rigid when you get a second. Or if you're busy, I can ask somebody else. Don't worry.
I can't share or anything. I'll just quickly rigid.
No, you don't need to share it. You just have to look up and tell us the exact meaning as per the dictionary of rigid and where does the word comes from.
Okay, it means unable to bend or be forced out of shape, not flexible.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
Prabhuji, I have to go.
that's all right, no problem. So here Prabhupada is saying, one second. In the purport, let me go back to the purport. What's happening with my, okay, here it is. Prabhupada is using this line that if there is any delay in the attainment of success, success is sure for the rigid practitioner. So without any bend, without any shortcuts, without and being, following the process properly. So that word is very important. So let's look at this amazing purport and some key points from the purport of what Prabhupada is trying to tell us today, actually. So let's have it look. So, welcome everyone once again. Thank you for joining us and giving us your valuable time this evening. Your association is very much appreciated. So, we are now in the sixth chapter, the text 24. So, let's look at the link between text 23 and text 24. In text 24, Krishna is prescribing the method to attain the Yoga Rudha state in these two states. But what exactly is going on in this particular section? That Prabhupada is giving a way, and he's really focusing on determination. So even in the purport, he narrated the entire story of the sparrow and the Garuda and the ocean. That how the sparrow was. We'll come to the story actually. So let's look at some of the points Prabhupada is making. So here the theme is the methods to attain the Yoga Rudha stage, the perfectional stage as described from text 18 all the way to 23 was explained. And now in text 24, after explaining the stage, Prabhupada or the Krishna is rather saying that the determination and the faith, these two things are key for even attaining success in any practice, especially in Yoga Rudha or even devotional service. And Srila Prabhupada to further stress the importance of these two principles, especially determination, he then quotes the Rupa Goswami's third verse from Nectar of Instruction. So these are the points. So Prabhupada says that one has to be very patient, in the whole process. And elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita, I think it's the verse called Matra Sparshas Sukanteya Situsana Sukadukadaha Agama Painos Nityastam Titikshasava Bharata. There Prabhupada talks about tolerance. There's the difference between patience and tolerance. Patience is knowing that this is going to work out for me. I know I need to stick with the process. And then Prabhupada gives a beautiful example that how when a lady gets married, she doesn't immediately beget a child. She gets married, she then carries the child, then it takes 9 months before the child is delivered, you see. So one and it is a very difficult time at that time, but because she's determined to carry the child, and she with patience is trying to take all that difficulty for those 9 months, then she's finally rewarded with the child at the end of that 9 months. So it's a very good way of looking at how in life we become very impatient. I'm not any different. I'm in the same boat as well, at least I can speak for myself. Patience is something I'm always trying to work on, and it's a very good quality actually to nurture. And for someone who's engaged in the process of performing devotional service, some of these quality automatically manifest in our heart to the degree of our surrender towards the Lord. Because why? Because Krishna is Sampurnam. He's a complete whole. And anything which you then take in the world to worship that complete whole, it becomes completely spiritual. And anything which we are getting in the world, be it material or spiritual, is anyway energy of the Lord. So anything we can use in the service of the Lord is actually the right usage of that particular product or a service, because it is ultimately meant to render service to the devotional Lord. And when we do that, then that very object or that thing becomes automatically spiritual. So the patience is a very good quality to cultivate. And oftentimes it is, we see in the life of the Pandavas that how patiently they stayed for so many years. Lord Ram himself demonstrated the quality of patience by going into the forest and living and embracing a life of really a mendicant, and living on bare necessities in a forest, and even in that condition protecting his wife, um, and doing what he did actually. So here similarly, Prabhupada now gives an example coming down to determination about Sparrow and Garuda. What a beautiful story, isn't it? Like how, Sparrow was trying little by little, uh, and everybody was having a laugh at that person. So this is the beauty. There is another story about in Ramayana about that. This is Sparrow and that was Squirrel, where this Gilhari, as we call it, was trying to bring a little small pebbles, whatever she could carry, to help Ram in building the bridge. And Hanuman said, "Get out of the way! You're delaying my process." And Lord Ram was not pleased with that action, because he said, "You both are equally trying to help me, and she's doing what she's doing according to her ability, and you're doing what you're doing according to your ability." So sometimes outwardly we may look at a devotee and say, oh Prabhu, you're only doing this much, you should come and do more service, you should cook, you should do book distribution, you should do so many things. But more important than that is to get to know the devotee and the personal circumstances behind it. Yes, if the person is absolutely fine and he has time to do, then you gradually inspire him and encourage him to serve in the Krishna consciousness. But even if he's not, or even while he is, the point is you always appreciate. My Guru Maharaj says, what you appreciate appreciates in the value. So if you appreciate somebody, that person will also appreciate back his own service, your service, everybody around us actually. So this principle was so much evident in the story of the sparrow and Garuda, that just by little she was showing that I'm determined to do that service. And then the next thing Prabhupada says, without deviation, we should not be deviated in this process. We have to be Eke Kuru Nandana. That should be our goal, that we want to develop love for Krishna. I am the servant of the servant of the servant 1 million times removed, and I want to serve the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and perfect my life. As Shruti Prabhu used to say, give your one life to Krishna. So many lives we have given to the material energy. Let's give one life to Krishna. So without any deviation, there may be many challenges, many problems, but we got to stick with the process. And then faith, be confident and pursue the path with great perseverance. So let's have somebody here. Who do we have? Girish Prabhu, are you able to hear me?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, can you please Google the exact definition of the word preserve? Where is the word gone?
Preserve.
Perseverance. This exact word, look at where it's coming from and the exact meaning for us, Prabhu. Be confident and pursue the path with great perseverance.
Okay, Prabhuji, sure.
Thank you. Control, we'll come back to that. Control senses by mind. So if you are patient, determined, you're sticking into the process without deviation, then it's very natural that one will start to feel much more in control of his senses, in the sense, because his body, mind, and intelligence is already thinking of serving Krishna. Then the senses become very subdued, and they are really trying to then, help us engage in the service of Krishna. And finally, give up all material desires born of mental concoction. Naturally, when the mind is engaged, then it doesn't think of material desires. It really engages in Krishna's service. Prabhupada in Srimad Bhagavatam gives so many times this example of King Ambrish, who engaged all his senses, his head touching, paying obeisances, touching deities of the Lord. So that's how we need to give higher taste to these senses, and then our senses will be not just in control, but they will be positively engaged. So Girish Prabhu, did you manage to have a look for us?
Yes, Prabhuji. Perseverance means persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success.
Wonderful. Does it tell you where the word comes from, Prabhu?
Just a second.
You can type up, yeah, where does the word come? So could you repeat that line again for us? Sorry.
Yeah, persistence in doing some delay in achieving success.
We lost you in between, Prabhu, so you may have to repeat it one more time for us.
Yeah, sure, Prabhuji. Persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success.
Amazing. Amazing. You see, this is what happens when you look the meanings of the words. They really bring so much life into the context. So being persistent despite any difficulty, that's what Prabhupada is saying. Be confident and pursue the path that I have taken to this Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, which is a bona fide line coming in line with Krishna. Lord Brahma is our topmost representative, and more recent times Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I'm connecting directly through the Guru Parampara here. How fortunate am I? Can I not just, my Guru Maharaj says that just show up. He said that means is just come to the temples, hang around with the devotees, and you will naturally develop taste for Krishna consciousness. If not anything else, just keep showing up for sangha, for chat sessions, for chanting in the morning, and whatever little you can do every day. Don't think that you can't do anything. And my Guru Maharaj says that everyone no one can claim to be permanently disqualified. We all have, as a humans, this intrinsic quality to rise above from where we are actually. So let's do our best and stick to the process. So Prabhu, any luck on finding where does the word come from?
Prabhu, it says it come derived from the Latin word.
Latin word. Okay.
Yeah.
What is that word?
Latin preservance, derived from the Latin preservance, meaning to persist.
To persist. Nice. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Very helpful. Great. So let's look at now what Prabhupada is telling us a little bit more, because he focused on determination, and I want to share a couple more Prabhupada's purports. So this is from 2nd Canto, 9th chapter, 24th was. Girish Prabhu, since you looked at that word for us, could you read this purport of Prabhupada? You're on mute if you're trying to speak, Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhu, sorry, just came
Okay.
back from the temple. So,
Oh,
1
I
minute.
see. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm just starting reading now. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.9.24 purport. In executing penance, one must be determined to return home back to Godhead and must decide to undergo all for that end, even for the material prosperity, name, and fame. One has to undergo severe types of penance, otherwise, no one can become an important figure in this material world. Why, why then are there severe types of penance for the perfection of devotional services? An easygoing life and attainment of perfection in transcendental realization cannot go together. The Lord is more clever than any living entity. Therefore, he wants to see how painstaking the devotee is in devotional service. The order is received from the Lord either directly or through the bona fide spiritual master. And to execute that order, however painstaking is the severe types of penance, one who follows the principles rigidly is sure to achieve success in attaining the Lord's mercy.
Amazing, amazing. What a nice point Prabhupada is making. Some really nice points. Devotees, please try to drink in this nectar of Prabhupada. He's saying that even in the material world, those who are aspiring to fulfill their dreams, they have to be very persistent, resilient, enthusiastic, patient, determined to do what they do. Then why can we not have the same approach in devotional service? Prabhupada is asking, why then are there severe types of penances for perfection of devotional service? And he gives this answer: an easygoing life and attainment of perfection in transcendental realization cannot go together. The Lord is more clever than any living entity. Therefore, he wants to see how painstaking the devotee is in devotional service. You see, that this is what Krishna is really looking at us, okay, how attentive are we? If we are listening to a session, class, Bhagavatam in the morning, or any session for that matter, are we attentive, or we are trying to do multitasking, as we call it? Are we really showing Krishna when we are chanting that, oh, I'm sitting there and chanting, um, and or we are just chanting for the sake of getting through our rounds? Actually, all these things count, and that's what is called painstakingly. When we try to, another nice thing which comes to my mind, my Guru Maharaj says that distraction is torture and attention is nectar. So when you are distracted, it's torturing, because when you're distracted, you can't focus, you can't be determined. Whereas when you're attentive in any object, any process, then the nectar comes by giving that attention. These are two very fundamental aspects. Very nice thing, he mentions that when we are attentive, we can get so much out of it. Thank you so much, Girish Prabhu. So can we next have Kamalangi Mataji, are you there? Are you able to unmute and read this purport or letter from Srila Prabhupada?
I cannot see anything actually.
You can't see the slides?
I
Devotees,
can't see the slides. Yeah.
okay. Can others also not see the slides?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can see.
Prabhuji. We can see.
Sorry, you can see, yeah?
Understand it myself.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, okay. All right.
Slides
Okay.
need to be enlarged.
That's strange.
Sorry, Jai Prabhu.
Yeah, the slides need to be enlarged because they're so small.
So you have to enlarge your screen, Prabhu, so then it will be able to see it. I just need to mute everybody. There are a bit background noises here. Okay, so let's go with Surabhi Mataji. Are you able to read this for us?
Hare Krishna, yes, I'm able to read. I'm
Yes, go
able to
ahead.
see, I mean. Shri Prabhupada letter, January 5, 1972. Good things do not come so easily. You know the difficulties that I encountered in my first year in your country. Sometimes I did not even know where I was to live. Neither when I came did I have any friends. But I was always determined that somehow I would do everything possible to fulfill the desire of my Guru Maharaj. And despite all difficulties, I always remained enthusiastic. Hare Krishna.
Amazing. Look at that, Srila Prabhupada. What a embodiment of enthusiasm. Anybody can disagree with that? So real embodiment of enthusiasm. Right. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Who would like to read the next? Any volunteer?
I can read it.
Yes, who's that?
Chetna.
Oh, Hare Krishna Chaitanya Mataji. Please go ahead.
Where would you like me to start from? The first line?
Yeah, just read both the first letter and then the second as well.
Sure. My Guru Maharaj gave me a task, and always I was discouraged by my God brothers, but I did not forget him even for a moment, and I was determined to follow my duty, even though sometimes I did not like to do it. Srila Prabhupada letter, 5th November 1972.
So sometimes we may not like what we do. We may not like chanting, but because initially duty is a higher principle, slightly lower than love, but still higher than any other obligation. So even if we do it as a duty, like Prabhupada is trying to teach us, it's fine. And that duty will gradually become love one day. Through the sincerity and the dedication which is behind or the attitude we have behind doing that particular service as a duty. Sorry, Mataji, carry on.
Sure. I am very much encouraged that despite so many difficulties and tricks of Maya, that you are still desiring Krishna so much. Thank you very much. In order to attain the topmost perfection of this human form of life, one simply has to try for Krishna with enthusiasm and patience, and all obstacles will be overcome. If you are determined in this way to be his devotee, Krishna will provide some happy solution. But even if he puts us into extreme difficulty, we must always be prepared to consider everything as a special mercy, that he is testing my sincerity, or that this trouble is nothing to what I deserve. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Amazing. What did you think of that letter, Mataji?
Well, I think it's just very true, but we tend to forget this.
Yeah, it's very basic and fundamental, but we like to look for something what's there. But if we can, as Prabhupada say, we must always be prepared to consider everything as a special mercy. That he's testing my sincerity, or that this trouble is nothing to what I deserve. Look at the attitude, look at what Prabhupada, such a ambassador of empowerment and encouragement and determination and patience and resilience and relentlessness and I don't know what are all the qualities Prabhupada had. Look at what a perfect pure devotee he was, that so much he was embodying what he was, the life he was living. And these letters are so encouraging. I've just picked up some of it, and there's so much more about determination. Prabhupada writes he had this ability to encourage the heck out of everyone, wherever he went, actually. So at this stage, I want to stop and see if anybody has any comments or questions. If time permits, there will be a short 4-minute video I want to share about Gaurang Prabhu talking about determination. And then we will have at around 8:35, 8:40, my wife, Vindarika Ramaya, she will lead us into a nice bhajan this evening of Narottam Das Thakur. So any comments or questions in between for what we read and from the purport or from the letters of Srila Prabhupada?
The letters are transcendental.
Are they, aren't they, Prabhu? Yeah, they are. These letters are very special, Srila Prabhupada letters. I mean, they are very hope-giving. Imagine to the devotees of the disciples he wrote to, it must mean wealth, their only biggest wealth they have actually is these Prabhupada's direct instructions to them. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. So if no one has any questions, let me play the video. Let's hear from Gaurang Prabhu what he has to say about determination, and we can go straight into the bhajan after that. Bear with me. This is a short 4.5 minute video. It's called Psychology of Determination. So let me see. Please pay attention and listen to it nicely. It's very nice.
Is the fear of popular opinion, the fear of having doubts in our own abilities and things like this. And so we need three things to support our journey. First, we need the philosophy. Second, we need the people around us who support us in this journey. And third is we need practice of this process on a regular basis, because we are not going to experience transformation overnight. And so this means that we need to create an internal mindset to overcome these challenges. And the internal mindset is defined by Srila Rupa Goswami in Upadeshamrita, which is the nectar of instruction, NOI, meant for those who are struggling with neglectful, offensive and inattentive practice of devotional service. Right? And therefore, one of the principles he mentions, Utsahan Nishchayat Dhairyat. So when you have Utsaha minus Dhairya, then it cannot sustain, because one will be unsteady and erratic. If you have Dhairya and only Dhairya and no Utsaha, then there is tendency towards laziness and lethargy. Okay, let us chant 16 rounds every Ekadashi. Oh, today is Ekadashi. Oh, good day to chant. So therefore, if you have to have Utsaha and Dhairya, both, one needs Nishchayat. So Nishchayat is the cement which binds Utsaha and Dhairya. You need binder. Without the binder, even the toughest item will just fall off. It will be flaky. And so, in the journey towards determined practice, first step, the mind will say, I won't do it. That's how the ego will respond. I won't do it. Then the second step, you start thinking, no, I won't do it, no, I will do, but I can't do it. It's not that I won't do it, but I can't do it. Then, again, others start encouraging you. And then step 3, after that encouragement in the association, a spark comes. And that is, I want to do it. And that's where, when Vibhishan comes in front of Lord Ram, that's what he says, that Nivedayat mam kshipram Vibhishanam upasthitam. I have come in front of you, quickly accept me, kshipram. Raghavaya Mahatmane. O Raghav, O Mahatma, Sarvaloka Sharanyaya, one who gives shelter to the entire universe. Nivedayat, please accept my plea, kshipram, quickly, because that spark is there. I don't know how long that spark will continue. Before it gets extinguished, accept me. Therefore, I want to do it. As soon as that desire comes, as soon as the desire comes to you, today I should chant 32 rounds. Do it that day only. Don't think I will wait for Bhim Nirjal Ekadashi. As soon as the desire comes for doing anything more in bhakti, do it immediately. If desire for doing sense gratification comes, then postpone it.
What do you think, devotees, of that? Chandra Chaitanya Prabhu, any comments on what Gauranga Prabhu is trying to tell us?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah, I think Prabhuji is very right. When the desire comes, act on it, especially when it's concerning our devotional service, because that's the only thing that will come with us. Everything else is being left behind. The money, the family, the land, the Mercedes car, the palatial buildings, the factories, nothing comes with you, but only this thing comes with us. So why should we prioritize that in our life? Because that's the only thing that's coming with us. So let's do it. Prabhupada was enthusiastic because his Guru Maharaj gave his instruction and he followed it to the word. So we can take that example and do the same.
Very nice, Prabhu. Wonderful. You're so enthusiastic. Thank you very much. Anybody else for any reflections or any comments or questions, corrections?
Sorry, can I just say, I think the takeaway for me was that enthusiasm, determination, and
Patience.
the patience, they go hand in hand. You can't achieve one. It won't work if you only have two qualities of the three.
Yeah, it needs to be balanced. A very nice example Gauranga Prabhu gave, right? You may have enthusiasm, but if you lack patience, then it's not very helpful. But if you just have patience and no enthusiasm, they can be lethargy and you can just become lazy and keep procrastinating. And I really like how he ended the video about saying that when you have a spiritual desire which comes to your heart or your mind that you want to do more, do it immediately. Don't wait for another day. But on the flip side, if a desire comes that how can I gratify my senses, then Prabhu is suggesting that delay that desire. Such a nice way to look at these temptations which come in our life, isn't it? And more so often, at least for me, the spiritual desires, they come seldom, whereas the desire for enjoying material life, normally they just naturally comes to my mind, because that's my mind, unfortunately, so much conditioned. Right. One last comment or question before we go into the bhajan. Just give me 1 second. Let me just check my wife if she's ready. Okay, let's take one last comment um, or any other reflections. What a pin drop silence. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. No comments or any other reflections from anyone? While you're thinking, I'm just going to bring the bhajan up so we can start the translation and take it from there. This is a beautiful bhajan by Narottam Das Thakur, sung from his Pratna prayers. And we've been reading about Narottam Das Thakur's life. And today we want to appreciate one of his bhajans. All his bhajans are Shastra. That's what our acharyas call it. They are like Shruti, but this particular bhajan is usually sung on when you're feeling a separation from our acharyas. And I guess every day is a nice day to feel that sense of separation from the acharyas, because that's the life we want to live, because we're already living in separation from the Lord so far, because of the material conditioning. And so are we feeling the separation of the acharyas. But when we appreciate our acharyas and think of them, then that separation can become sweeter, and that way we are able to make our progress more steadily and develop that enthusiasm, patience, and determination to follow our acharyas more closely and nicely. So let's look at this translation. I'm just going to share my screen with all of you. Vindarika Ramya, have you logged in? Okay, let's do the translation. So anybody who would like to go for the first and then second, we can have it like that.
Yes, Prabhuji, can I read?
Yes, please go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Shall I start from number 1?
Yes, please.
Translation. He who brought the treasure of divine love and who was filled with compassion and mercy, where has such a personality as Advaita Acharya gone? Number 2, where are my Savrupa, Damodara, and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatana? Where is Raghunatha Dasa, the savior of the fallen?
Thank you,
Number
Mataji. Let's have somebody else do 3.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, can I do it?
Yes, please go ahead, Prabhu.
I think someone else wanted to do.
You go ahead, Prabhu, and then we'll ask the devotee to go next after you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta, and where is Krishnadas Kaviraja? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go?
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Can I read, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. I will smash my head against the rock and enter into the fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities?
Thank you, Mataji.
Can I read?
Please.
Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all these devotees, in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottam Das simply weeps.
Jai, beautiful. Right, let me just see. Vindarika, are you here?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hare Krishna. So we will follow the bhajan behind the muted mics. So this is the bhajan on the screen. Hope everybody is able to see it. Actually, let me share the Word document. Sorry, yeah, sorry. Can you see it now, the bhajan?
No.
No.
No?
No. We
Okay,
could
one
see it
second.
before.
Okay, one second. You should be able to see it now, Sachi. You can see it now?
Yes.
Thank you, Sachi. Hare Krishna. Over to you.
Jayanilo Premadhana Karuna Prachur Jayanilo Premadhana Karuna Prachur Jayanilo Prema Dhana Karuna Prachur Jayanilo Prema Dhana Karuna Prachur Hello Prabhu Kotha Gela Charya Thakur Prabhu Kota Jela Chaya Thakur Kaha Mora Swarup Rupa Kaha Sanatan Kaha Mora Swarup Rupa Kaha Sanatan Kaha Dasara Gunatha Patita Pavan Kaha Dasara Gunatha Patita Pavan Kaha Mora Bhata Juga Kaha Kaviraj Kaha Mora Bhata Juga Kaha Kaviraj Eka Kale Kotha Gela Gora Natara Eka Kale Kotha Gela Gora Natara Pashane Kutibo Matha Anale Pashibo 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 Goranga Gunera Nidhi Kotha Gele Pabo Goranga Gunera Nidhi Kotha Gele Pabo Se Sava Sangira Sange Je Koilo Vilas Se Sava Sangira Sange Je Koilo Vilas Se Sangana Paya Kande Narotamadas Se Sangana Paya Kande Narotamadas Je Anila Premadana Karuna Prachur Janilo Premadana Karuna Prachur Tena Prabhu Kotha Gela Chalya Thakur Tena Prabhu Kotha Gela Chalya Thakur Jaya Vaishnava 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 Thakur Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Nittai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Srila Narottam Das Thakur ki.
Jai Haribol. Thank you so much, Sachi, Sridham, and Vindarika Ramaya. So I hope everybody was able to relish this wonderful bhajan by Narottam Das Thakur, sung from his beautiful book called the Pratana, in which he wrote many of such beautiful songs. And this is just one of the jewels from that beautiful collection of various gems which Narottam Das Thakur has left for all of us to sing, to meditate, and to remember our various acharyas, especially in this particular bhajan, our Goswamis, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So yeah, many messages are coming saying thank you for the singing. Wonderful. It was really nice. That's wonderful, devotees. It's now we are 3 minutes past our usual time, 8:45. So we'd like to say thank you to everyone for joining us this evening and for discussing one verse of Bhagavad Gita from the 6th chapter. Tomorrow we'll continue from the text 25 in the association of, I believe it will be Divya Gaurangi Mataji. It's a Saturday tomorrow. And yeah, thank you once again. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhe vacha patitanam bhavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you.